Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be tackling the world of Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, yeah.
You know that book that like everybody seemed to be reading, and then there was the movie.
Right, right.
Yeah, that one.
Big hit.
So, you all sent in tons of articles and reviews, even some book club discussions.
Wow.
Clearly, this story like really resonated with people.
For sure.
So we're going to try to figure out why this book became such a phenomenon.
Okay.
What is it about Kaya's journey that just grabs readers?
Yeah, it's really interesting how a story set in like the isolated marshes of North Carolina can appeal to like such a broad audience. It's
Yeah.
almost like the marsh itself is like a mirror
Mm-hmm.
reflecting all of our own experiences.
Right. To think it all starts with Kaya, abandoned by her family and having to figure out this complex marsh totally on her own.
On her own,
It's
yeah.
like the marsh becomes her parent,
Mhm.
her teacher, shaping her in ways we don't really see a lot
Yeah.
in coming of age stories.
And what's striking is she doesn't just survive the marsh.
Right.
She thrives there.
It's
She
a-
learns its rhythms, its secrets.
Yeah.
She becomes so in tune with nature, it's almost like an extension of herself.
It really makes you wonder, would she have developed that same resilience,
Yeah.
that same connection to nature,
Right.
if she'd grown up in like a normal,
hmm
suburb or whatever?
Yeah, that's a question that sticks with you even after you finish the book.
Yeah.
It makes you rethink what it means to be connected, not just to people,
Mhm.
but to like the world around us.
And of course, it's not just Kaya's relationship with the marsh that got people hooked.
Right.
There's also like that murder mystery element
Oh, yeah.
that adds this whole other layer.
Totally.
So you have Chase Andrews,
Right.
this prominent guy from town who turns up dead, and immediately Kaya the Marsh Girl is the prime suspect.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the book's take on social prejudice gets really powerful.
Yeah.
Kaya's already an outsider, because she grew up so differently.
Right.
And then she's judged and ostracized by the community.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how we see people who are different from us
Uh-huh.
and how dangerous it is to judge based on how someone looks.
It feels like Owens is using the murder mystery not just to keep us guessing,
Yeah.
but to show us the prejudice and fear that can be in any community.
For sure.
It's like a reminder that sometimes the scariest things aren't out in the wilderness.
Exactly.
They're right there in our own society.
Yeah, and that's why Kaya's story connects with so many people, I think. It's not just about surviving out in the wild.
Right.
It's about dealing with relationships and expectations,
Yeah.
trying to find acceptance.
But even with all the darkness and hardship that Kaya faces,
Yeah.
there are these moments of hope and connection that come through.
Oh, absolutely.
Like her relationship with Tate Walker,
Right.
the boy who shares her love of nature and becomes like her confidant.
Confidant, right.
It shows us that even when you're isolated,
Yeah.
human connection can still happen.
You see in the book how Tate recognizes her intelligence,
Uh-huh.
how he nurtures her curiosity,
Right.
and encourages her to embrace what makes her unique.
He becomes like a symbol of the good that can come from real connection.
He does, yeah.
And it's such a contrast to her relationship with Chase Andrews.
Oh, yeah, completely different.
He's like the excitement and danger of the outside world all wrapped up in one.
Right.
But being with him brings Kaya both excitement and heartbreak.
Of course.
It's like Owens is saying, not all connections are good.
Right.
Some can leave scars that run really deep.
And that makes her coming-of-age journey even more captivating.
Yeah.
She's not just fighting the elements,
Right.
She's dealing with trust and betrayal,
Yeah.
the longing for love and belonging that we all feel.
It reminds us that even when we're alone, we're still shaped by the people we meet.
We are. Yeah.
Makes you think about your own relationships and how they've made you who you are.
It's amazing how Owens blends all these different threads together. Kaya's growth, the murder mystery, the social commentary into one cohesive story.
It's really well done.
Yeah, no wonder it sparked so many discussions.
Speaking of sparking discussions, we can't forget about Reese Witherspoon's Book Club.
Oh, right.
That definitely helped launch this book into superstardom.
It's true. Witherspoon picking Where the Crawdads Sing for her book club
Uh-huh.
introduced it to a huge new audience.
Yeah.
It's a big reason for the book's success.
It was like overnight, this book that had been quietly captivating readers
Right.
became like this cultural phenomenon.
It really shows how much power platforms like Witherspoon's have,
Yeah.
to shine a light on great stories.
For sure.
And bring them to a wider audience.
And then you have Taylor Swift even contributing a song to the movie adaptation.
Right.
It's crazy.
It was everywhere.
Kaya's story was reaching people who might never have even thought to pick up the book.
Exactly.
It's proof that different kinds of media can work together to create this really immersive experience.
It's wild to see how this story that starts in the quiet of the marsh has managed to break through and resonate with so many different people.
It makes you wonder, what is it about this story, this setting, this character, that just creates such a universal connection?
Maybe it's the power of nature, reminding us how resilient we can be.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's Kaya's self-discovery journey, connecting with our own need to belong.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, where the Crawdads Sing has definitely struck a chord.
Absolutely, a chord that just keeps echoing with readers everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, so we've set the stage. We've looked at what makes this book so captivating. Now let's dive into what people are saying about their experience with Where the Crawdads Sing.
Okay.
Because beyond like the sales and the reviews, it's the personal stories that really show us this book's impact.
Absolutely. And that's what we'll be looking at next. Get ready for some amazing insights from people who have really connected with Kaya's story. It's incredible how Where the Crawdads Sing really nails the feeling of human connection.
Yeah.
Or the lack of it. You really feel that longing to belong that so many readers relate to.
Totally. And the responses we got really highlight that. People are sharing how Kaya's isolation reminded them of their own experiences. How her strength inspired them.
That makes sense.
And how the novel made them rethink their own relationships.
One thing that comes up a lot in the feedback is this idea of finding peace in nature.
Right. Like Kaya does.
Exactly. People are saying the book made them appreciate nature again.
Yeah.
Reminded them of the peace they find there.
It's like the marsh becomes a safe place, not just for Kaya, but for the readers too.
A little escape.
A place to get away from the craziness of everyday life. And reconnect with something bigger.
And you have to give Owens credit for her writing. She describes the marsh so vividly. You can practically smell the salt air, feel the mud.
It's amazing.
And no wonder readers feel transported.
There's this one review that really stuck with me.
What was it?
It said, reading this book made me want to go walk barefoot in the grass and just listen to the birds.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's like Owens has tapped into this need we all have to connect with nature.
Even if we haven't experienced anything like the marsh ourselves.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big part of why this book is so powerful. It speaks to our need for connection, not just with people, but with nature itself.
Now with all this talk about nature and connection, we can't forget about the murder mystery that keeps you hooked.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
What did you think about how Owens combines the investigation with Kaya's own story?
I thought she did it really well. It's not just there for the suspense. It's tied to the themes of prejudice and isolation that are throughout the book.
Like the murder investigation becomes this little example of the bigger forces that are always judging Kaya.
Exactly.
She's presumed guilty because she's different. And she's ostracized because she doesn't fit in.
And that's where Owens' social commentary really stands out. She's not afraid to tackle tough subjects. Like classism, prejudice, the ways society fails people who are on the margins.
It's subtle, but it hits hard.
It does.
You see it in how the townspeople talk about Kaya. The assumptions they make. How they treat her like she doesn't belong.
It's a reminder that we're quick to judge based on how someone looks.
Totally.
It makes you think about your own biases.
It does.
And how you might be excluding others without even realizing it.
You mentioned earlier Tate and Chase.
The two men in Kaya's life.
Their different relationships with her seem to be a hot topic in the book club discussions.
Oh, for sure.
You've got Tate, who's all about kindness and acceptance and this shared love of nature.
He sees Kaya for who she is, encourages her curiosity, supports her dreams.
He's like the stability she needs to get through those tough teenage years. And find her place in a world that's often pretty harsh.
And then there's Chase. The popular, charming guy who represents the pull of the outside world.
But his relationship with Kaya is all about manipulation. And ends in tragedy.
It's like he shows the danger that can hide behind charm and popularity.
It does.
He takes advantage of Kaya's innocence and leaves her feeling even more alone and betrayed.
This contrast between Tate and Chase really shows how complicated human connection can be.
It's not always obvious who to trust. Sometimes the people we think will hurt us surprise us with their compassion.
It makes you think about which connections are worth holding on to.
It does.
And it shows how strong and resilient Kaya is.
It does, yeah.
Even after so much heartbreak.
Right.
She still keeps going, keeps learning, and finds her own voice. Speaking of her voice, one thing that resonates with readers is how Owens portrays Kaya's intelligence.
Her intelligence, right.
And curiosity.
Even without formal schooling, she's a sharp observer of the natural world.
She is.
And she developed this deep understanding of the marsh and all the creatures in it.
She's a natural-born naturalist.
She is.
That connection to nature becomes her teacher. Yeah. It's how she learns about life and death.
Yeah.
And how everything's connected. It's like Owens is suggesting that real education doesn't always come from books and classrooms.
Sometimes it comes from experience.
Yeah, from being out in nature.
Learning directly from the source.
And that message seems to click with readers.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them said Kaya's journey made them want to get back in touch with their own sense of wonder.
That's great.
Appreciate the simple beauty of nature.
It's like the book gives them permission to be curious.
To embrace learning no matter how old they are or where they come from.
And it reminds us that real intelligence isn't just about knowing facts. It's about understanding the world around us.
And our place in it.
Exactly.
So we've talked about nature connection prejudice.
Yeah.
But something else that makes this novel stand out is how Owens mixes different genres.
She does.
You got coming-of-age murder mystery courtroom drama.
Right.
Even some romance and social commentary.
She's a master storyteller.
She is.
Weaving all these elements together to create something both captivating and thought-provoking.
And that's why Where the Crawdads Sing appeals to such a diverse audience.
Right. There's something for everyone.
Whether you're into mystery or romance or exploring social issues.
It's like a literary tapestry.
Yeah.
So much depth and detail.
Something new to discover every time you read it. Going back to Reese Witherspoon, her endorsement definitely helped the book become a bestseller.
It did.
But we should remember that people were loving this book before it was even a book club pick.
Oh, definitely.
It was gaining popularity through word of mouth and online buzz. There was something about Kaya's story that was already resonating with readers.
It was.
It's like people were craving a story like this.
They were.
One that explored connection and the power of nature.
Right.
In a way that felt real and moving.
And that's what makes Where the Crawdads Sing so special.
Yeah.
It found its audience organically.
It did.
Capturing hearts and minds with its honesty and beautiful writing.
And even though the book's been out for a while, the conversation around it hasn't stopped.
It hasn't.
People are still discovering Kaya's story.
Right.
Sharing their thoughts.
Yeah.
Debating the ending.
And that's the mark of a great novel.
It is.
It sticks with you long after you finish it. It makes you think, makes you discuss, helps you understand yourself and the world better.
Well, I think we've covered a lot in our deep dive into Where the Crawdads Sing.
I think so.
We've explored Kaya's journey.
Right.
We've unpacked the major themes. And we've seen how readers have personally connected with this story.
Yeah. It's been an awesome exploration.
It has.
And it's clear this book has sparked conversations about nature.
Yeah.
Isolation, resilience, the power of storytelling.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I keep coming back to this question.
What is it?
How much of Kaya's strength can be attributed to her connection with nature?
That's interesting.
Could she have thrived somewhere else?
Right.
Or was the marsh, with all its harshness and beauty, what made her who she is?
That's a really good question.
It really gets at the heart of nature versus nurture.
It does.
And it's something we'll definitely want to explore more.
Absolutely.
As we continue our deep dive into Where the Crawdads Sing.
Really makes you wonder, could Kaya have been so independent, so connected to nature, if she'd grown up somewhere else?
It's a question that keeps popping up in the reader feedback.
Makes sense.
Some people think her spirit would shine through no matter what, while others believe the marsh played a huge part in shaping who she became. It's like the debate itself mirrors how complicated human development is.
It does.
This mix of our natural traits and the environments that shape us.
And that's what makes the book so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us easy answers.
Yeah.
It makes us wrestle with these big questions about identity, belonging, all the things that influence who we are.
There's this one comment from a book club discussion that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
It said, Kaya's story made me realize that sometimes the things that isolate us can also be the things that make us strong.
Wow. That's powerful.
It's like the marsh with all its dangers and loneliness.
Right.
It also gave Kaya resilience and self-reliance.
It's a great point. It challenges the idea that we can only be strong if we're part of a community.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's those times when we're alone, forced to rely on ourselves, that really build our character.
It makes you think, would Kaya have been such a keen observer?
Yeah.
Would she have had that deep connection with nature if she'd been surrounded by people?
Maybe not.
Would she have had the space to develop her unique perspective?
It's an interesting thought. It speaks to the need for balance, I think.
Balance.
Yeah, we need connection and solitude, the support of a community, but also the space to be ourselves.
And maybe that's why Where the Crawdads Sing resonates with so many people.
Maybe.
It reminds us that even in this crazy connected world, there's value in being alone.
Yeah.
In finding peace in nature. In listening to our own hearts.
Absolutely. It celebrates the power of the human spirit.
Yeah.
To adapt, to overcome.
To find beauty and meaning in unexpected places. Well, I think we've really explored Where the Crawdads Sing in depth.
I think so too.
We followed Kaya's journey, unpacked the book's many themes, and even considered the nature versus nurture debate that her upbringing sparks.
It's been such a rich discussion.
It has.
And I hope you, our listeners, have gained some new insights into what makes this book so captivating.
And why it keeps people talking and thinking long after they've finished reading.
Yeah.
Looking back at this book, through your research and the reader responses, it's given me a whole new understanding of how deep and complex it is.
And that's the best part of deep dives like these, isn't it?
It is.
We revisit familiar stories with a fresh perspective, discover hidden meanings, connect with other readers who've been moved by the same words.
It reminds us that reading isn't just about finishing the book.
No, it's not.
The real magic starts when we think about the story.
Yeah.
Share our interpretations.
Right.
And let those words really sink in.
And sometimes those words spark questions.
Questions.
Yeah, questions that stay with us even after the story ends. Questions that make us look at our own lives.
Our relationships, our place in the world. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Where the Crawdads Sing, I'm left wondering, what is it about stories of resilience that pull us in so strongly? Is it because they remind us that we can overcome obstacles too? Or is it something deeper?
Like what?
A desire to connect with that unbreakable spirit that's inside all of us.
I like that.
Whatever the reason, these stories show us that even when things are tough, there's always hope, always beauty,
always,
and always the chance for change.